Troditjenin ska tratsini basistin troditjenin sledo tratsini ulihagi basistin do trappa dasitse sanjikin dasimnal de teen or lede tisto or lede adio nasa, you know. I came here as a relocatee and found a house here, a job, and raised my family here in Winter Rock. So we're permanent residents of Winter Rock, Arizona. And that's where I retired, and then I have a home, a nice home, you know. And I raised my kids here, and that's where, you know, I guess in a way, you know, there's a lot of stories pertaining to, you know, the histories that I would like to, you know, bring out. You know, people always tell me about these stories, you know, where their family stories. I guess in a way they want me to, you know, kind of illustrate that, you know, in my cartoons, you know, and have a say-so in those.
Question number 1. What does being the Grand Marshal of the Navajo Nation Parade mean to you personally and professionally?
Personally, I guess in a way, you know, my kids and my family wanted me to be recognized for a certain thing. You know, I've been doing the cartoons for so many years, and I haven't even been recognized for anything, you know. But they wanted me to be able to be recognized and, you know, make my own book and make my own artwork and stuff like that. Professionally, I was asked that question too. You know, I had a drawing. I was doing a painting, and I thought to myself, these would be the first grand marshals of the Navajo Nation. It's when our ancestors were released from from Fort Sumner, and what they did was they formed a line. I think what I read was about 10 miles long, where the wagons and horses and people walking, you know, from Fort Sumner. And they were paraded into these small towns where the trail was for the long walk. And there were people, you know, they probably didn't, you know, people that didn't like them for what they did, you know, but they were just trying to protect their property and their people, but they were incarcerated and confined to that Fort Sumner, Hoye, and that's where they ended up for 4 years. And they still had a smile, you know, on their face coming back, that happy feeling that they just, even though they endured all the confinement. And along the way, you know, they had to go through town and tell each other, you know, you don't, you know, just act like there's nothing that happened. Don't get into any confrontation or anything like that. So they walked through these small towns, you know, with them in the front, and that's how I think of these being a grand marshal. And then they came. What I read was they travel 15 miles per day, and I think June 18th to July 27th. That's how long how many days they travel. So when they got back here, you know, I guess they didn't know where the property lines are. They just wanted to go in certain places where they considered their homes, and they just went past the boundaries. And that's how I thought of them, you know, being a grand marshal. I guess they were the people that started it, you know, being able to lead their people back to their homeland.
Okay, we'll go to question number 2. What challenges have you faced as an artist within the Navajo community, and how have you overcome them?
Okay. Well, when I started, I did it on, encouragement of our elders that were being relocated, out there in a disputed land, Navajo Hopi, a land dispute. We would go out there and, these people planned ceremonies. They had a sun dance up in Big Mountain, and where I got it from was attending these ceremonies, and I heard their prayers, these elders, and then we would go over there and attend those peyote ceremonies. And what we did was, what they said to us was, you young kids, young kids, you need to interpret for us what's going on. You guys are educated and you know the system and you know what these people are talking about. We don't. So I started drawing those cartoons from there back in the 70s. So, just to help them understand and make their emotion more comfortable to them. And while reading the Navajo Times, there was a lot of stories pertaining to the relocations. So that's where I got the ideas of drawing those, doing my artwork, is in the political cartoons. And that's the only reason why I started those cartoons. And from now, I was, from there, I quit. I was laid off Navajo Times for a while. And then somehow one of the reporters found me. They called my house and told me, I want you to do a cartoon. So I went back and started doing the daily, weekly newspaper where they had a public comment on it. So that's where I restarted my cartoons, and then from there, every time I started doing those. So, but in between there, there was a turmoil within the tribal government. And I didn't want my name on some of these cartoons because of the retaliation from the superiors. So I didn't sign a whole bunch of cartoons. But I overcame that, and then with the encouragement from the public, they wanted to know who I was. So I started putting my name on it every week, and people enjoyed it, and they start knowing me. And I think that was one of the things that I've done, was put my name on something that people can recognize and be known out there, in the art world. And then other than that, I do, illustrations for books, and then I do paintings on the side and sell them. And that's how from here, I'm starting to do the oil paintings again. There was paintings that I used to do, and then other ventures that I can go into.
We'll go on to question number 3. How do you hope your work will impact future generations of Navajo artists and the community?
Okay. Well, they need a political cartoonist. I try to encourage artists to, to at least, now the newspaper had 3 political cartoonists at one time. It was Vincent Craig, Carl Terry, and me, and we would do the cartoons for the Navajo Times every week, And Vincent, he's gone, and Carl didn't, he never published any more cartoons, but I was the only one. Now they don't have nobody there, to illustrate their political cartoons. So I would encourage, as a business, it's something that they need to enjoy. Vincent always said that, we were posed with a question during a workshop at a NAJA conference, Native American Journals Association. And we had a full crowd in there, and there were young people in there. And they asked these questions, same questions, you guys need to get involved in politics, what your government is doing. And one of the questions was, where do you come up with these stuff for your cartoons? And then his response was, whenever we just follow you guys around, what makes you laugh and what makes you happy, that's what we try to draw, So you just, what we draw, you guys laugh about it, so you just laugh about yourself. So I would encourage people to get involved somehow in their what their government is doing, And as a artist, there's a whole bunch of people that have a business, as a silversmith, rug weavers, and the fine arts that come here every day, during the fair. They follow the fairs and sell their products. You need to make it so that they can have a art show, like art show in the Hurt Museum or Santa Fe Indian Market, so people can, come here and attend these art shows and buy some of these from the artists, Navajo artists.
Okay, question number 4. How important is it for you to represent Navajo voices with the social and political issues?
It's been a struggle for me, because I didn't want to be out there being known. I just want to be in the limelight. And I didn't want my kids to be involved in what I was doing because of the retaliation from, on my kids, on my family. So I never came out until a few years ago, when I started, putting my name on some of these stuff. And that's what, how I came about. But it's interesting that, people always say that, people that are going to college, they go down to the library and look at my cartoons, even getting letters from, prisons. And people would ask me, thank you for entertaining us. We never get that kind of a story out here while they were in prison. So a lot of them, they do that, and it gives you confidence. It gives you some confidence to do more for them, go out and research the stories that they came with and how it would affect different people. I have people, people coming and, sending me a message and say, I want to do a story on you so I can get my degree, master's or doctor's degree, and sometimes they'll quote me in their book. They use my illustrations for a lot of stuff. And then a workshop, when they're having a workshop on water rights or stuff like that, they usually ask me to use that in their PowerPoint presentations. And one time I got a mail through during the 9/11, and I didn't want to open it. was addressed to me at the Navajo Times and to be opened by addressee only to the person that it's sent to. And during that time, I guess people were sending these ricin through the mail. So I told those ladies and the secretaries, you have to open it. And I won't open it because it's got powder in it. So I was just kidding them. Anyway, it had a resolution from Utah Water Rights, and then there it had everything. The meeting it was where it was, and everything that pertains to Utah water settlement. And then at the end, they attached one of my cartoons to that. So that's an encouragement for me, to do more, because a lot of people were doing that. And that was nice. That was good for me to, excel in that kind of persuasion or anything that can encourage people to, to attend to these things that are going on.
Last question. What are your plans for the future?
I'm retired. I retired from the Navajo Nation, I worked for the Navajo Times for so long, and then it got me a job with the Navajo Transit System, and that's where I retired. So I guess now it's just time to rest. My kids, encourage me to do a lot more, because they understand me as as an artist, that people are, looking up to me and trying to find things that they like, So they're telling me that we can do this for you. All you have to do is do your artwork, and we can publicize all those stuff, So we're trying to make a book of all the cartoons that I've drawn for the 50 years. So I don't know how many there are, but I have the original cartoons at home, So that's where I'm going, is publishing a book and, selling them.